Sam Ashton, long-time friend and client of my mortgage, and you and Adam, and the rest of the team. I have been working for the government for the past 14 years as a primary job, and sort of the last 6 years have sort of ventured out into my own property, renovating, developing space.
Yep.
So that's sort of where we're at now. Heaps of changes, heaps of problems, heaps of advice from you guys along the way.
Yeah, cool. So take us back to when we first started working together. If you remember the year, or how long ago it was, I reckon 5+ years, maybe even more, maybe 7 years. And what prompted you to sort of get in touch, and then what does that journey look like over the last 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah, sweet. So I think I've had a pretty traditional or very Kiwi sort of property journey in some respects, to start with especially. I actually became friends with Adam prior to any business dealings. And that's sort of, I'll jump ahead a little bit in that I've always liked doing business with people that I'd go and have a beer with.
Yep.
And that I like dealing with. It makes it so much easier if you trust them on that level. It makes business a lot easier. So I had my personal home, which I'd purchased with a friend through another mortgage broker, and I think it came time to renew, or I was buying them out or something. I needed to restructure, and I got chatting to Adam, and we switched it over. And
cool.
The journey with my mortgage started there, really. Fast forward a few years, I had a girlfriend at the time, and she had her own house, and I'd always sort of had a real interest in property, and wanted to get involved in investing on some level. We had a chat and decided her property wasn't really the best one to hold as a rental. She was living with me, so we decided to sell her house and try and better use that money. And that's where my mortgage really came into its own, and Adam in particular gave me a lot of guidance that probably changed the whole direction of my life.
What did that look like at the time? Because there's the obvious things around affordability and around, cool, here's your equity position and that sort of thing. What was that decision? What sort of property was it? What sort of deal was it? And then what was the sort of advice in and around the purchase?
Yeah, so it's crazy looking back on it, because I look back and I was like, that was actually a really big project to jump into off the bat, when I had little to no experience, didn't know what I was doing, what I was talking about, but luckily I had some people around me that I trusted. It was a property on 1,000 squares, which I planned to demolish and build 4 townhouses on. Crazy looking back. I think at the time it was going to cost $2 million, which I completely understand that's probably not in most people's realm for a first investment, and I don't really want to. That's probably not the right example for this audience, but I've got examples later in life which probably are a bit more relevant to everyday people. Very aware that, I don't know, like that first $100,000 that anyone makes is always a grind.
Yeah.
You know that, and buying your first investment is usually super hard. You know.
Yep.
But I was lucky that I had a partner at the time with a second house.
Yeah, I think too that equity position, but also doing the build and doing it at different stages, eh? So when did you do the subdivision? When did you do the builds? What was the timeline on that?
The whole process took about 2 years.
Yeah.
I was a fish out of water, eh? I had some basic spreadsheets that I had some friends that had done some similar things that I was running past them. I didn't really understand when I was going to need the money for the build, how the progress payments were going to work, exactly what the costs of the subdivision were going to come to, what unexpected contingencies I needed. Make no mistake, I got very lucky in that first project. House prices went up. If house prices hadn't gone up, I probably would have come out of it making next to nothing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's probably a really interesting thing, when you're looking at investing, if you look at investing from a development perspective versus investing from a long-term perspective, that development perspective, there is more luck involved in making money in a short term. There is still skill, obviously, but that long-term position, if you are going to go and create something which is generating more cash flow, there's probably a bit more time for things to kind of come back. And I mean, I suppose probably one of the things we were talking about earlier on was sort of that having options, being able to split banks, being able to take advantage of new build policy at the time.
Yeah.
And when you built, there was also cheaper lending as well for new builds, so that was helpful. But I think key probably to just have some options on the table as well. And subsequent to that, kind of what's happened from there in terms of your journey into, yeah.
Yeah, just before we move on, just going back, I like Adam and everyone at My Mortgage, just not knowing what I was getting myself into, but just having that support from them. Like I was like, I always refer to Adam, he's like the human condom, eh? He just makes you feel safe. It makes you
great.
He does. He makes you feel like everything's okay.
Great. Love that. Love that. Yeah.
But that flows on to the rest of the team as well. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
That flowing on, that project really lit a fire under me. I was like, obviously it went well, more good luck than good management. We were very lucky, house prices were going up and I was getting that across 4 new dwellings, not just the one dwelling that we had. So by all means, good luck, better than good management. But I took a risk, I took action, and I gathered the information that I could at the time. Had good people around me supporting me.
Those are really key things when you're looking at investing, and I think something that we're trying to build at the moment is a bit more community in and around that, because property people can sometimes get a little bit of a bad rap, but the reality is that they are providing places for people to live, and that is not without risk. So I think that's really cool. Like that action and gathering support from people around you is really important, eh?
Yeah. So flowing on from there, that definitely lit the fire. I was like, hold on, this is a lot more fun and a lot more profitable than what it is going to work for the man. So from then on, and I would be up all hours trying to find the next deal, trying to find the next fix to fuel the buzz of that. And I did jump into a couple more smaller projects, some small flips, so just renovate and sell, some small 2-lot subdivisions, and that it all started to be tracking really well relatively quickly. The market was going up. It was good times. It was good time.
We make hay.
It was sweet. Like that's it. My life goal changed drastically from a few years prior. You know, when I started the journey, I was like, oh, I'm going to be working until I'm 65. All of a sudden, it was like, okay, I'm going to leave this job. And then life changed. Girlfriend left, and it was like, holy, this is a different scenario. We have a couple of projects on the go, got a personal home. I really want to keep going with these projects. My partner wanted her share of the money out. I wanted to keep going with the projects, so I ended up selling the personal home. She took her money. I kept going with the projects we had on the go, and I went renting. So
I'm actually really pleased that you talked about that, because that is real commitment to the cause, eh? And I think the other thing you did really well at that time was you started getting people that you knew you could rely on involved as well as joint owners. And so there was a little bit of that went on, right?
Heaps of that. That's sort of been my model. So very, again, a bit lucky by that stage. I sort of had a few projects under my belt, had some evidence that, hey, this works, this is doable. We're learning a bit, we've learned some mistakes, we're making better purchases. And yeah, proof of concept was there. So, but the problem that I very quickly ran into was serviceability.
Yeah.
And I remember having plenty of coffees with you and some of the team, or phone calls about, like, how do I buy this? How do I buy this house? Or what can we do? And for me, the obvious decision was bring in other people.
Yep.
And leverage their serviceability. So I don't know how many I've done now, but a handful of joint venture projects where I've brought in predominantly friends and some family, which has allowed me to keep growing and doing numerous projects at once, which, yeah, I think it's relevant for anyone listening to this, because the overwhelming thing I hear is people feeling like they can't get involved or they can't do it, and I just more often than not I feel like they can, but they're not willing to either do what it takes, or they don't like the risk involved. That risk may be using second-tier lending. It may be selling your personal home and using that equity to purchase something that you can actually make money out of.
Yeah, I think also some people don't know what options are on the table too, and you know, we've spoken to you, we've spoken to plenty of the people that you've partnered with, we've worked on those situations with you, and I think one of the key things that's really important in that situation is how do you make sure everyone's looked after. And I've done it myself, joint purchases where, you know, you and I are not dissimilar in that sometimes we take too much risk, and then you've got to figure out how to look at the other side and help someone else whilst also making that the right option for you. So I think one of the key things I learnt early on, and I think you do it really well, is like, what's in it for both parties? How do you make the deal? You know, and that's really important. And bringing in your friends and family, kind of like, cool, we want to help them as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
100%. And just finding people that are in slightly, like, what I typically find is one person will be in a strong cash position and one person will be in a strong servicing position. Like, sometimes, like, I can't team up. It's difficult to team up with people like you because we're in similar positions and we both
totally
would benefit from bringing other people in.
Yep.
in different situations, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah. It's like, what do you bring to the table?
Yeah, it definitely has to be a win-win for both parties, and you have to provide that other person what they need, and likewise they need to provide what you need in any deal.
Yeah. What do you love about working with My Mortgage, or the experience that you've had over time? Obviously a bit of support, maybe a bit of creativity, options.
Yeah, so when you asked me yesterday if I wanted to go have a chat, it's an easy decision, right? Because I've always thought that, like, I'm not just blowing your trumpet here, but you're the easiest referral to make. You know, when people ask, I don't even have to think. You're just like, you need to speak to My Mortgage. You know, like, if I give a referral to one of my friends, it reflects on me. You know, so, and I just, every time I refer someone to you, they always come back stoked. They always come back thanking me. They always get a good outcome, even if it's not the answer that they want. They get a lot of clarification. Like, you guys are so good at communicating the problems and the solutions to any person's situation and outlining a path to what they need to do. So I've found that incredible. Like, all your staff are so good, and it's something that has always stuck with me. As not these words exactly, but you guys will hire character and you'll train skill.
Good chat.
So that, and I don't know if it was you or Adam, but it was always like, if you're the right person, we'll find a job for you. You know, and I've always admired that in your recruiting is, I think, quite unique and different to a lot of employers. So I think that served you well, but I'm sure the proof's in your own discussions.
Great. Yeah, that's really good to hear. It's always it's really interesting to see what people's perspectives are in that space. So yeah, really appreciate that. What do you think makes a good relationship with an advisor? Because you actually said early on that you switched, and one of those reasons was that you got on with Adam really well. Is there anything else that you've experienced in that sort of advice space that you think is really useful?
Yeah, it's a tough market, right? Like, you guys are in business competing against other mortgage brokers, and what gives you guys the edge, in my perspective, is like your systems. You guys are on the ball, you know what's going on, you're calling your customers. I don't know if it's every 6 months or a year. I'm using the service more, so you don't need to call me because I'm calling you first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you guys are always following up. You know when people are renewing their mortgages, when that's coming up, what the best options are, and you're just so well rehearsed with what the different banks' rules are at any one given time. Like, when I hear people go into the bank that they've been banking with since they were a kid and getting a pre-approval, I'm like, oh, you should really be using a mortgage broker here, because you don't know what you don't know, and so often you've pulled me up on it. You'd be like, oh, that's probably not the right bank for your situation at this time, or that person's got a low equity position, they're probably better to use X this bank. Just things that I don't think about, I don't know about, and more often than not, people that were referring to you are first home or first investment property people, and everyone's situation's different, and just your knowledge around all the different banks is on point. You're always looking for ways to further educate and provide value to your clients, so it's not just a sweet, we've locked you in, we'll renew your mortgage in 2 years or whatever it is and we'll clip the ticket again. It's like, no, these people are part of our network now, we're going to continue to add value to them, whether it be further educating them about investments or structures of their loan or whatever it may be. Like, it's really good.
It's funny, when I often kind of talk a little bit about banks as a bit like going to a fast food outlet. Like, they'll ask if you want fries with that, which is like a credit card or an investment or a KiwiSaver or, you know, insurance, but they're not actually giving you a bunch of different options. And because they can't, they're not independent. And I think that policy piece, particularly when you've got a changing situation across a life cycle. So you might be buying your first home at 25, and then 3 years later you've got some equity and you want to buy an investment property, and then you've got a business, so you need to talk about that, and then you've changed career and you've got commission-based income, and then there's a difference again. And so lots of people have so many changing situations, and it's pretty hard to keep track of that. Unless you've got someone sitting next to you that's specialised. So I appreciate that, because I think lots of people don't understand that background work that goes into being good. Yeah, awesome. You made a pretty big personal sacrifice at the point where you sold your home and committed to continuing to invest. How has that paid off?
Tenfold. Like, yeah, that sucked, right? Like, I was living in a nice house. I didn't have to sell it. You know, I could have kept that home, scraped together some funds or whatever it may have been, or I don't know, brought in some joint venture partners for the projects that I had on the go. I would have found a way to keep it if I wanted to. But I knew that getting rid of that personal home, which I couldn't add any value to, was the best way for me to expedite my journey to getting some financial freedom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, huge. Like, I don't know where I would have been if I hadn't have done that.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of an ego thing, hey, like, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of chat these days about like rent vesting, and I actually think it's a great idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because why would you not? In a way, if you can find something that you're happy living in or happy enough living in, and you can still make money out of an asset that you own, and that improves your serviceability. It's a big commitment, but it's a good one, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's tough though, because it's a Kiwi dream, right? Everyone wants to own their personal home, and it's almost a stigma thing. And I'm guilty of it too now. You know, like, fast forward 3 years to now, and I've just put a price under offer, personal home again, and on one shoulder, someone's going, "This is a dumb idea, Sam. Like, you know, this is gonna slow you down," you know. And then a little bird on the other shoulder's going, "No, this is actually going to give you a lot of stability.
Yep.
You have a place to call home. It's a nice house that you're going to enjoy living in. You can't keep just trying to focus on money. It's not the be-all, end-all." And they're both really good arguments. But I know that if I was in that situation again, where I was limited on funds and I had a personal home, I'd be selling it.
Yeah, and I think what's even more important is that you've bought yourself the ability to make that active decision. So you've actually made the sacrifice for a time, and yep, totally, you can keep doing that forever. But like you say, not everything is financial. There's lifestyle reasons, there's family reasons, there's work reasons, there's so many things that you have to consider when making that call. So I think, you know, you've just got to make the right decision for yourself at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Epic. Cool. Hey, thank you. I'm going to, just say a huge thanks for all of your commitment and time that we've spent together over the years. Like, you've also taught us lots, so don't discount that. And thank you for all of your support. You have epic friends. We're very grateful. And yeah, you know, we love working with you and seeing what you do next. So that's always very exciting.
It's cool to hear, and it is. I don't know, one quote that resonates there is, like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Like, and I just think that's so true. And you guys always create incredible community and incredible atmospheres in all your events, and you can see that with the people that you guys surround yourselves with. Like, yeah, second to none.
Thank you.